Well, let's now take a closer look at what Palestinian leaders are saying. We're joined from London by Husam Zomlot. He's the head of the Palestinian mission in the United Kingdom. He joins us from our London newsroom. Husam Zomlot, welcome to BBC News.
Thank you.
After the unprecedented assault into southern Israel by Hamas on October the 7th, and what you would know would be an unprecedented Israeli military response, what are you calling for Israel to do now?
What is happening now has nothing to do with the 7th of October, Lise. What is happening documented.
Well, it was sparked. It was sparked it was sparked by October the 7th.
Lise, nothing justifies this mass murder of civilians right live in your cameras. More than 6,500. 2,700 of them are children. Nothing justifies the carpet bombing of entire civilian areas. Nothing justifies cutting water, food, electricity, fuel from hospitals. Nothing justifies that we still have 1,000 people under rubble. People are hearing the cry out of people under rubble, and we have no rescue teams. They have been targeted. Our medical sector is collapsing. Nothing justifies this. So please, not refer to this 7th of October. What is happening now could not be justified by any standards. That's number one. Number two, we're calling for immediate ceasefire. Since this began, ceasefire for these war crimes, crimes against humanity. And this is such a dark moment, Lise, for our humanity, for all of us. A dark moment for our international system when the world fails to call for a ceasefire. And we hear some Western governments, including the US and the UK, calling for a pause. Pause for war crimes and crimes against humanity? Really? We cannot enforce now, right now, and we still hear leaders like the Prime Minister of the UK saying Israel has the right to defend itself after all what we have seen in the last 21 days. Self-defense is threatening the lives of 130 babies in incubators now because they are running off fuel in hospitals is a right to self-defense. Forcing 1 million people out of their homes and then bombarding them in the south is a right to self-defense. This is self-defense. And what about the warning by the international community that infectious diseases are breaking out in Gaza because of the sewage system in the streets, because people are drinking contaminated water and sea water? This is an act of self-defense. All of this is war crimes, and the world is watching. Everyone is watching.
But
how the West
no
is
one
failing,
yes,
and how the West is
no one
applying
denies
the rules on their foes, but not on their enemies. This is a dark moment, Lise.
Well, no one can deny the darkness of the moment for Palestinians. The images are there. We've been reporting day in, day out, and the suffering, the rising death toll in Gaza, what the United Nations describes as a humanitarian catastrophe. But we saw yesterday at the UN Security Council Israel underlining, and that cry by Israel is, as you say, being repeated by Western leaders, saying that Israel has a right to reply because it was attacked, and it feels it needs to protect its citizens and protect its borders.
Really, by what we just heard from the war criminal Netanyahu announcing in his televised message that he has killed thousands of Hamas fighters? Liar! A liar! You know, Lise, everybody in the world knows that he has killed thousands of our children. Our children, of our families. He has wiped out entire families. He has targeted hospitals, churches, our entire civil structure.
We understand.
So the conversation should not be about the symmetry. There is no equity between the occupier and the occupied. And there is no equity between a non-state actor like Hamas and a state that he recognized, that is Israel, that should be held to a different standard. The world has failed, I tell you. The world has failed yet again. And what's this whole talk about a right to self-defense? Don't we have a right to defend ourselves? Look what is happening in the West Bank. You are in Jerusalem now. You are reporting the mayhem, the chaos, the carnage by the militias, the settler militias. More than 100 Palestinians were killed
Husam
in Jenin,
Zomlot,
in Ramallah, in Hebron.
We understand, yes.
No. Do we have the right to defend
understand.
ourselves? Do we have the right to defend? Should we sit in the West Bank waiting for these settlers to come and attack us? Should we defend ourselves or not?
Husam Zomlot, let's have a conversation rather than, we understand your anger. That anger has gone around the world. There have been protests filling the streets in many cities, anger at what is happening to the Palestinians. But you're a representative of the Palestinian Authority. What can be done? Because these are the discussions behind the scene. As you know, Israel will not accept a ceasefire. What is the best possible option now? We've heard at the United Nations a proposal for a pause, for a humanitarian ceasefire. A number of pauses may be discussed today at the EU meeting in Brussels. In many capitals, many leaders are trying to find a way to ease the suffering of Palestinian civilians. What at this time is the best available option to protect the civilians, to get aid to the civilians?
Number one, immediate, unconditional ceasefire of these atrocious, murderous airstrikes against our people, civilians. Number two, immediate and immense global operation, humanitarian, to relieve the suffering. We have no rescue teams. People are still alive and shouting. We need humanitarian en masse from all directions to elevate this unprecedented human suffering. Number three, we need to turn this tragedy into a moment of hope for the millions of people in Palestine and worldwide. I have seen the hundreds of thousands here in the UK calling for justice. I just looked at the opinion poll this morning that 76% of the British people call for an immediate ceasefire. We need to do that, and we need to focus on the root causes. Turn this into a momentum for peace, end this illegality and injustice once and for all. Call for an international peace conference to implement international resolutions, not negotiate them.
And one last brief question. We know Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinian Authority, has spoken to Joe Biden, that there is concern already for the day after. Are you being asked to go in to try to run Gaza when this is over, whenever that is?
The PLO is the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, and the PLO has a liberation in it, the Palestine Liberation Organization. We will run Palestine and our people in a liberated state of Palestine that includes the West Bank, Jerusalem and Gaza, and we will be running a country that will once again be a bridge between civilizations and a source of stability, but not the way Israel wants. We are not running a country on the corpuses of our people. These criminalities have to end, and peace has to prevail, but not based on this sheer show of power by Israel on the bodies of our civilians. Peace can only prevail when they recognize the legitimate birthrights of a nation that has been denied for more than 100 years. This is the moment to recognize that the only way forward is to craft a different path, is to give the people a hope for a different future. And I tell you, we can. I see people everywhere. I hear messages from everywhere. Everyone now needs one thing: that we can provide a different path. So countries like the UK and the US should be busy providing that different path right this moment.
Husam Zomlot, we understand your anger about the current situation. We'll speak to you again.